It's absolutely gorgeous out there, and it's also showing up how bad my car looks. It is covered in water spots, which have mostly come from the rain. Obviously, we haven't had much rain, but whatever rain has been coming, it's been drying out on the car really fast, and honestly, it looks worse than just normal dirt, because normal dirt tends to sit at the bottom of the car. So today, I really need to give that car a good clean and a bit of a shine. So today, I'm going to be putting a bunch of products to the test. This is from a company called dMAX. So this was slightly different, the way that these products were sent to me. dMAX contacted me and said, can we send you something? I said, yes, please. And they said, go to the website, pick out the products you want to try yourself. That was weird for me to actually get to choose what product they have. And they have a decent lineup. So the 4 products that I picked, first of all, is Arctic Snow Foam. This one is a pH neutral snow foam. They also have a citrus based snow foam, which is slightly alkaline, so it's a bit stronger. This one's pH neutral, so we'll see how well this one cleans. That is a big 1 litre kind of jerry can looking bottle, quite cool there. Next up is the Shampoo. This is their Triton concentrated car wash. Now this one is a 200:1 dilution, which basically in a 10 litre bucket is about 50 ml of shampoo. So that's not a bad dilution ratio, so we'll be checking that out to find out how well that cleans and how slick it is, because I'm always about foaminess, cleanliness and slickness of a shampoo. So we'll give that a try. Then following up from that will be their quick detailer. It's a Carnuba quick detailer here. It says high gloss. So this one, it contains Carnuba wax. So it is sort of a wax and sort of a detailing spray all in one. So this one will be very interesting. The idea is to top up in between waxing your car. They do say that it has the ability to perhaps slightly cleanse. So yeah, interested to see how that works. And then finally, their Black Pearl trim and tire dressing. This one's a strange looking one. If you haven't seen things like this, it's a creamy kind of product. Look in there. See, it's quite soft. It actually reminds me of one of my my other half's hand moisturizers. Anyway, we'll see how that works on trim and tires. Anyway, let's take it out to the car now, and we'll put them through the paces. Now, I wanted to apply snow foam to the panel here completely dry. It hasn't been pre-rinsed, and I just wanted to snow foam 1/2 of the panel to find out if there's any cleansing ability or if it makes any difference at all, just by using the snow foam on a dry panel. I forgot to click record when I was applying the snow foam to the car, so it's already on there, but you can see it's a really nice thick snow foam. It does dwell for a decent amount of time, and yeah, it's nice stuff. Runny in the bottle, but thick on the car. And right there you can see snow foam doing what snow foam should do. It is breaking down some of the dirt, it's carrying it off the car, and you can see it piling up in this little pile of foam here. Rinsing off the car was straightforward. I did reapply the snow foam a couple of times. I emptied the lance onto the car, mainly because it was a hot, sunny day, and direct sunlight means there's also the possibility of the snow foam suds drying on the car and causing further issues. Now onto the bonnet. I'm holding the lance back as far as possible, just to rinse it off with the water with very little pressure. And you can see that the left side, although it has a different kind of protective product, it has been returned to a nice clean protective surface much quicker than the right side. Now this is the problem with the shampoo. It is so super thick that although it was difficult to pour into my measure here, it was also even more difficult to get it out. It took me a long time to get this out here. So this is the one drawback of this shampoo. It's so thick and clingy, it doesn't want to come out the bottle or out of my measure. The shampoo itself did carry the suds in the mitt very nicely. If you like a sudsy shampoo, this is definitely for you. And of course giving the car a dry over. Moving on to the Carnuba Detailer here. You can see it looks a bit more like a spray wax, to be honest. It looks thicker, not quite like most detailing sprays, which tend to be thinner. But this does return it to a very, very shiny panel. It was really nice. There was a good depth to it, and I wasn't sure if I was seeing things, but I'll show you in a second. Application is easy, and so is the buff off. You can see here the right hand panel has been cleaned and wiped over with the detailer, the left hasn't, and you can see the line, the difference between the two panels. You could also see it steaming off the panel there because it was a hot panel in direct sunlight. I am putting it through its paces here. Generally speaking, you shouldn't be using products like this in direct sunlight on hot panels, but it spread over the panel nicely. It didn't stick, it didn't leave any streaks, and it was very easy to buff. The same again here. It's adding a depth of shine to the car. It's not just something that adds a bit of gloss, it really does return some darkness to the paint. Now everything has been removed from this bonnet now, all protections. So it's just a clean panel and nothing else. And as you see this being wiped across, I'm spreading it first. Again, hot panel, direct sun. But it was easy to wipe over, spread onto the panel. And although it looks a little streaky there, flip the towel, buff it off, and it was super easy to use. And a bit of close buffing there of the edge. You will be able to see a very well defined line between both halves of the bonnet to show what this detailer actually does. Fantastic gloss, shine, and depth of colour. Now with a light sprinkle of water to test the water repellency here, it doesn't look massively different, but give it a deluge of water with a pressure washer and you can see the right side is trying to hang on to some of that water. It is a perfectly clean panel, so it will repel water to a certain extent, but the left side where the Carnuba Detailer has been applied, you can see that is nice and hydrophobic. It wants to bead, and in some situations it likes to sheet a little bit of water there. And there's your beads. Lovely uniform roundness to them. They're all very round, all very nice. And here I wanted to find out if it was possible to remove some of these water spots left on the wing mirror. You can see it didn't look very good before. Again, direct sunlight, hot paint, wiping across, and I'm giving it a bit more effort here because I want to try and remove some of these water spots, or at the very least try and mask their appearance. They weren't completely gone, but a quick flip of the towel here and a buff over, and it returns some nice gloss and shine. Now for the black pearl dressing here, I'm just wiping off what was on the lid to begin with there, spreading it across the tyre with a basic microfiber applicator. Now because this is a creamy product, it does pool up next to lettering on your tyres, and obviously if you have those grooves in your tyres from the tyre design, it will kind of catch in there, so you do need to work it in a little bit more. I don't often choose a creamy tyre dressing. This is one of the main reasons why. It's because it's just a little bit more difficult. I prefer something which is slicker and quicker to go on, but it worked fine. It certainly did improve the look of the tyre. Just takes a little bit longer when applying it to tyres, that's all, but if you've got the time and you don't mind it, it does look very nice. Not super glossy, not matte, somewhere in between, almost a satin finish. Now to test it on plastic trim, we move across to the other half's car, and you can see here there is a definite darkening ability. There is a restorative effect there. It's easy to spread on, easy to work into the plastic, and because it's a cream dressing in this situation, it's possibly better to use than a spray type because there's less chance of getting it into places you don't want it to. For example, overspray onto your paint and on your glass. Applying on the B-pillars and on the window rubbers. Certainly works there, doesn't require too much effort. And it definitely does make those trims and rubbers look younger, newer. Now I gave the tyre about 5 to 10 minutes and went with the instructions to buff off the residue, and it said it was supposed to have hydrophobic effect. There was meant to be some water repellency, but as you can see here, that didn't happen. Back over to the car here, to the plastics and rubber, and you can see the same situation. It mentions on the jar that this should be water repellent. Well, it was maybe a small amount, but not much. Alright, time for the verdict now. The car is now looking really nice and clean and shiny. So let's grab the first thing, the Arctic Snow Foam. So the dilution ratio on this is anywhere from 9 to 1, so that's 100 ml of snow foam to 900 ml of water in your snow foam lance, all the way up to 15 to 1 for a maintenance wash. So it's stronger at the stronger dilution ratio for better cleansing, and then a weaker solution for maintenance washes, which is a great idea. So it's nice that it has that flexibility to it. It was runny in the bottle, which meant it was easy to get into the lance. You got a nice thick foam, and the foam was doing its job. Compared to the section on the bonnet I had there, one half I sprayed it on, the other half I didn't. It did seem, there was protection on that bonnet already, but it did seem to remove some of the dirt better than not having anything on there. So there is some cleansing ability there. So that was actually quite nice. It does cling well, it's nice and thick, it lasts a decent amount of time. So it did want to dry out today because obviously it's very sunny, it's very warm. Spraying this on a hot panel in direct sunlight, generally you shouldn't do that, which is why I didn't leave it to dwell for too long, but I kept topping it up and throwing the whole lance on there just to make sure it didn't dry out. Nice snow foam. Next up was the Triton shampoo, concentrated shampoo. I didn't find much slickness in there. There was a little, not loads, not compared to some others, which are very, very slick. This one wasn't super slick, but it wasn't bad. It gave nice suds. The suds did carry along through the wash. That was a nice thing. That's something I'm always looking for, is nice suds that stay within the mitt and not just in the bucket. So I was actually quite pleased with that. 50 ml of shampoo into 10 litres of water is pretty good. The drawback with this shampoo, I have to try and nitpick wherever I can, it's very, very thick. You don't hear it moving around in the bottle there because it's really super thick, and that meant when I was pouring it into my measure, it wasn't coming out of the measure. So that's the drawback. I understand where some companies come from. They want to make a thick product. They want to make it concentrated so it becomes very thick. That's the only drawback, is getting it out the bottle is difficult, and getting it into a measure to measure out 50 ml is not ideal, but still a decent shampoo. It cleaned well. So there's that. This was the absolute gem of the lineup here so far, was the Quick Detail, the Carnuba Quick Detailer. This stuff is really impressive. I have to say it. It really added gloss, it added shine, but it added depth of colour to the paint. So I've got a feeling there's a good amount of wax in here. It does say it's a Carnuba Quick Detailer, so there is wax in it, Carnuba wax. But it really did... It just darkened the paint. It made it look really deep and shiny compared to sections which hadn't had anything applied to them. You could see the difference. You could see the line where I'd applied it and where I hadn't. It's very, very easy to apply as well. You spray it on. It is a bit thicker. It's not super thin. It is a thicker product, but not super thick either. It does feel like a spray wax. But it had a little bit of cleansing ability to it as well, which was nice. I was able to make the panels look good with a little bit of water spotting on there. They cleaned up quite well. And it just added loads of shine and gloss. I really, really like this stuff. The drawback is you've got to make sure your panels are dry. I mean, I know, again, I'm using this direct sunlight, hot panels. It's a warm day today. But what I did find was that if there was any water on there, it did streak. I tried using it as a drying aid on the bonnet, and it was streaky. It didn't really do what some other drying aids do. So this is not to be used on wet panels. Make sure your panels are dry. Go over them with a drying towel. Slap some of this on, just a couple of squirts. Spread it with your microfiber. Buff it back off. It goes on easy. It comes off easy. It really leaves lovely gloss and shine and depth of colour. I'm really, really happy with that. And then finally, the Black Pearl Trim and Tire Dressing. Now this one, I'm not a fan of the cream dressings, I'll be perfectly honest. I prefer liquid dressings where possible, or wax dressings, because they go a long way. This one was kind of in between. It felt a little bit like applying a wax dressing, but it ran out quicker, so I had to reapply on the applicator to get more on there. It did spread nice and easily. I did find that because it's a cream, when you're applying it to tires, you've got all those little grooves and all the lettering on your tires, it tends to pool up, so you've got to make sure that you work it in properly. It did leave a nice look to the tires and the trim. It definitely did darken them. It definitely did give it some shine and restorative looks. However, it does mention that it's meant to create a waterproof barrier. I didn't find that. Now, I don't know if that's because of the higher temperatures today, because I was applying it to hot plastics and rubber. I'm not entirely sure. They were all properly cleaned, but it just wasn't giving me that water protection. I'm not sure. Maybe it needed to be left longer. Maybe it needed to be buffed off sooner because, again, of the temperatures and the sunlight and so on today. So, not the biggest fan of that, to be honest. Not sure why it wasn't hydrophobic at all, but it certainly looked good. Not every trim dressing has a hydrophobic ability, but it wasn't a bad trim dressing. But there you go. I still think that the Carnuba Detailer is the gem there from what I've received today. But anyway, thank you very much to dMAX for sending these across to me. I really appreciate that. If you guys want to check out their products, I will leave a link to the website in the description down below so you can have a look and see what they've got. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video, please smash that like button. If you are new here, make sure you subscribe to the channel. And while you're there, make sure you click the notification button so you don't miss my next video uploads. In the meantime, I've been Specky. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.